the latest top tips, reviews and advice, please subscribe below.
Hello and welcome to Attwoolls Outdoors with me, Mike. Today I'm giving you a bit of a review video on a brand new tent from Vango. So with me here today I've got the Lismore 700DLX. So the Lismore basically is kind of in Vango's collection, but the 700DLX is a little bit different to the rest of the normal models. Basically because it's a deluxe model, there's a few extra features on this that you don't necessarily see on the normal Lismore. The tent itself is available in both a poled and an air, but we've done a video on the air separately, so we're just going to kind of talk through all of the features that you see on the poled. And if you want to have a look at that air video, by all means have a look at that as well. So essentially, really it's designed for a very comfortable kind of, technically it's a 7 berth, but really I think it's more of a true 6 in my personal opinion. Definitely you've got the ability of making it even comfier 5 or 4, basically because it gives a certain amount of space per person. What we've got really is a free zone tent, sleeping, living and also a front canopy, but being very generous. So the overall width is around about sort of 440 wide, rather than what most people classify as a 6 berth would be about 380. So that's where you can pick and choose. I mean, technically it's a 700, but for me, I see it more as a sort of a true 6 to that degree. You've got fiberglass poles, really sort of nice and compact, helps to reduce the weight down, but also necessarily keeps the price quite keen. All the poles are basically kind of directly the same, so you haven't got to worry about fitting the wrong one into the wrong place. So again, makes life a lot easier when you get them all out in one go. One thing, like I said, in those 3 features that are different to the rest of the Lismores in the DLX version is we've got a rain-safe canopy door, which means that you don't have to worry about the water coming down and directly into the actual door itself, allowing you to leave this mesh door fully open all the time. You've also got webbing storm straps located at the front and the back of the tent to give you additional bracing. And the final thing that is different with the DLX is the fact that the front door has a little bit more flexibility. So what we've got here is a door can actually open from right to left or left to right, because you've got zip pullers that go all the way down. And well, I'll show you a bit later on in the video as well, how I quite like that concept and why it makes a bit more of a difference. So the Lismore itself uses kind of Vango's Sentinel fabric. So the Sentinel fabric essentially is a bit different in comparison to how they've probably done things a bit previously. Reason being is this new really quite nice mint green actually is dyed when it comes to the dyeing process done by the thread, not by the actual physical material itself. Now I hear you saying, why is that important? Reason being is because actually by dyeing it out of the thread point of view, you get the colour, a higher colour resilience, and the colour stays throughout the thread. The difference being between the 2 processes, by dyeing the thread you get almost like a carrot, whereas by dyeing the material itself you get a radish. You cut the radish in half and you have the white on the inside. So what happens when we have sunlight and the UV starts stripping that outer material, we start getting the outer layer of the radish out till we get to the core. And that's where you see it goes a lot more kind of whiter and faded and it actually looks more tired. But because we've got fabric, basically thread dyed, the colour, as we sort of strip that outer layer away, we still have that main core colour throughout of it. So it will look sharper for longer. The other joys of this process actually, it saves about 60% of water. So it's a much more eco-efficient way of actually doing the fabric, albeit a little bit more money to do, but that's not really the problem. That's not really your problem as Vango's. But it's still a really nice way. So you've got 2 concepts, better colour retention and it's more eco-friendly, hence why they're classifying this as their Colour Lock Eco. Now, as I mentioned previously, we've got essentially 3 zones, the main sort of sleeping, your living area and then your front canopy area. Throughout the tent you've got beautiful crystal clear PVC windows, and when you come to the main body itself you've got curtains to get the privacy when you wanted to. Airflow is definitely something that's been really more thought about, certainly with this whole collection. So we've got our normal low level ventilation points to help circulate air, but also the side door has got a mesh part built into it and there's a curtain behind it necessary to kind of zip it up as you go. Now the rain-safe canopy door, like I said, it's fiberglass pole, so it's really nice and sort of a bit of flexibility to it, but it just stops the rain from dropping directly into the tent, it means this mesh door can be used more often than not. Typically you find if you've got rain driving in, then yeah, admittedly it's not going to completely protect it about that, but if you have a scenario where it's rained, you come back to tent and you want to go into your tent, last thing you want to do is all the extra wet door then and the roof fabric as it dries dripping directly into the tent itself. So this is going to be a main point of call when the weather is a bit kind of incremental. In theory, the door could also be used as a little bit of a canopy as well, so you can buy some additional king poles, and what you would essentially be doing is opening it, basically reutilising the points you would peg directly through to put them on the spike of the actual canopy itself, and that will then create a bit of a canopy like so. It's probably not as efficient as it would be because you've got a kind of brow canopy pole, but you can still get a little bit of coverage from that if you really wanted to. But for me, I think from a ventilation point of view, it's a really quite nice addition. All of the poles, as I've mentioned, are the same, but you've also got a webbing strap to get additional tension, so it doesn't mean you have to be the best at feeding it all through. And the sleeves are a little bit shorter than you might find from other brands. Again, it helps feeding the poles through and giving you more flexibility. And you've just got this really nice clip-on clip that actually can happily go on there, but it means that it generally makes the whole pitching process a bit simpler and easier. And you can check out our own Attwoolls pitching and packing video, how we've sort of pitched kind of Lismore tent, and show you how quick, simple and easy that really is. Even some like with the pole model here, I would expect it would take you in the region of 15-20 minutes to pitch it. So again, that's always something you can happily look at. The front door, as I said, is a bit more flexible than your normal kind of tent range. Reason being is it's got a full zip all the way around from the side. So in theory, you could, roll it into the middle, have a little bit of strip, have that side open, have that side closed. You can pick and choose kind of what you want. PVC window throughout it, so again, that's your kind of main kind of bug, your main sort of weather tight section. But if you wanted to bring kind of the outside in, what you can do is we'll open this up. I'm going to take the zip all the way to the bottom. So what you could in theory do is roll it all the way to the right if you wanted to, but for the purpose of this, I'm going to be a bit lazy and just fold it. Now, by doing this method, what you actually benefit from is the fact that then it feels more like an open canopy, and you haven't got then a big bundle of whatever, misshaping the fabric, and it feels more open and fresh, much cleaner. The canopy depth in here is quite impressive, and to a certain degree, this was almost based on kind of the old Somerton from 2020, I think it was. So it's a concept and design and space-wise that we've kind of known and loved from Vango, and it was very, very popular when it was released. It's, like I said, it's definitely more of a true kind of six-person for me. Tell you what, let's kind of bring the camera around, look inside the tent, and talk for a load more features that Lismore DLX has to offer. So now we're looking straight down the tent. You can probably appreciate for the sheer width you got in here. That's one thing I do think that's, it's probably one of not the widest ones in Vango's collection, but I think from a price point of view, you don't find anything this sort of price that is this kind of width. So I think that is a really nice benefit. And having that flexibility with the front door, it means you can kind of orientate your whole setup how you want it to, whether you want the cooking kitchen on the left, on the right. Again, you can really kind of do what you wish. That depth really is quite boastful, and it's worth mentioning actually, as standard with the Lismore DLX 700, you get a footprint come as standard with the tent, so that's included. So that is like about £80 worth of kit that you probably would have to buy additionally. So it's one of those things that's worth considering when you are looking at tent prices, that you have kind of got that bundled into the package of the actual tent itself. Overall, in the main section, what you can also see is there's a lot of height throughout the whole tent. I'm 6'2", and can stand up more than happily straight in the middle. When I get into the corners, due to the little bit of a lean, I'm not right up to the edge, but things like furniture and stuff is going to be a bit closer, being that slightly a little bit more of a lower level down. The main entrance is really quite nice and wide, and the lip, actually, the front kind of entrance part, lips up or drops down, so you can have push chairs, pram chairs directly in, and no trip hazards for the kids, but you can still get that seal when you wanted to. The thing as well, I do quite like it on this, is it's sealed on somewhat 3 points. So you've got toggles on the side, then toggle points which will go to the actual main door itself, and then a nice big Velcro pad to seal it. So they've really kind of thought about kind of making that proper overlap, so still giving you the flexibility, but without having to go to the full-on expense of having a zip, because then it gets quite expensive. On the front part, between the middle door between, say, the front awning section and the main living area is quite nice and versatile. So you've got mesh windows to help increase airflow. What you also find as well is the fact that in the door itself, you've got that full-on bug-free barrier. So that's going to be your main line of defense against kind of insects from coming in. Along with the side window, which we've already looked at, you've got airflow from the front, from the side, and then beneath all the windows. These sort of mesh windows, for example, have can be basically zipped up and down, so you can get a good amount of coverage. So you can kind of go almost halfway, still have some privacy, but still have an airflow as well. Or, of course, fully zip yourself in. You can kind of pick and choose what you want to go for. And at the bottom, they just literally roll and tuck away into its own individual storage pocket located there. And then when you don't want it, roll it back, out the way, and out of sight, out of mind. I'm going to be a bit lazy, just chuck it down there. So we've got a double bayed kind of main living area, which was nice. Great crystal clear windows on sort of 2 on that side, 1 on that side as well, and obviously the mesh one. You've got curtains which toggle up into position to give you obviously some privacy or fully out of light. So you've got a halfway position or fully up. And it's really quite a nice pattern actually as well, like just a bit of an optional illusion looking at it. You'll see when we look at it a bit closer. When we move to kind of the latter part, you can buy an additional bedroom actually that will go in here. So you wanted to make it essentially a kind of a 9-berth, you can buy a tent bedroom to go inside of here. It will clip in directly up to here, but there's a hanging point up here for a lantern as well, not to mention on the front. So again, you can really kind of make your home away from home. So all 3 points in the main living area will have access to have a lantern looking like so. You've got a cable entry point not only on the front section down there, but you've also got one, I believe it should be, down in the corner as well. So it doesn't matter which side kind of your main socket's coming from, you should be able to get access directly into it. The bedroom scenario is really quite nice. So you've got sort of a 2, 3 and 2. For me, I see this more really as a 2, 2 and 2. This being the kind of the master bedroom for kind of, you know, the adults, and then also the kids can quite happily go on either side. Essentially, it's a 120, 120 and a 180 in the middle. Really, I think, to be fair, when you put an airbed in here, it's going to bulge out a little bit, but that's not a problem because there's plenty of room in that middle section. You've also got kind of the slightly darker bedrooms with Vango as well. It's not completely like blackout, but it helps to kind of reduce a little bit more of early morning light. And it's a bedroom that you leave in place all the time, so you haven't got to worry about it. Another key feature that you get with Vango, you don't get with anyone else, is kind of Vango's TBS system, stands for tension band system. What essentially is a webbing strap that's located here, and what you can do is basically, it's designed to add a bit more stability to the tent as and when you need it. So it creates a triangle kind of formation with the tent, with the guy ropes at that point, so it gives a bit more stability. So if you have wind coming from one direction, it's basically going to kind of retain the shape. Something you probably would put in only when you leave the tent. I wouldn't have it in all the time, just because naturally it's a bit of a hazard, but it's there for your own use, and it's unique to Vango. Something they've used in their kind of high-end backpacking tents for a number of years, so it's quite a nice little feature to have. So let's bring the camera inside and then go through some final details up close. So I think the first thing we'll probably find is how wide it is. You know, that chair is more than happily there. When we put it in there, you've still got a whole nother space, so you can even put a little side table there, but like I said, for cooking purposes, I think that works really quite nice and neatly. Little things also quite nice, little retainer clip for the middle part of the door, just so you haven't all the stresses naturally on the zip itself. Mesh windows as previously mentioned, and as we kind of go into the main kind of living area, you can really kind of picture yourself living here. So you've got your main bedroom, we've kind of took up more space than we needed because we put the camp bed in. The only thing with those, you've got to be careful of kind of the slope at the back, but that sort of really nice kind of nightfall bedroom works really quite well. There's even storage pockets located down the side here, so you can sort of declutter the main part of the tent. Extra bit of ventilation located at the back as well, and there is that rain safe door with that mesh window built into it. So again, you've got a really nice kind of amount of air without having to worry about the rain just driving itself in. Other things I quite like as well is the fact we've got a little hanging point for a lantern located at the top here inside the bedroom section, so you haven't got to worry about having hand torches or head torches all the time. And then you've got the extra clips, as previously mentioned, for the bedroom, and then low level ventilation beneath all the windows, but you can get a really nice, quite nice, if I can focus on that, there you go, that's the pattern. So again, a really nice pattern on the curtains as well, and I'm pretty sure they do a carpet to match if you really want to go for it. But all while sitting really quite nicely. Loads of ventilation point. I think just overall it kind of, there's a lot to like about the tent. I think for me, like I said, it is definitely more an actual truer 6-person than it is really a compact 7. And I think that way you've got more than enough you need. And I arguably say you can never have too much space in a tent, because as soon as, like in the UK, it starts to rain or pour, you are situated to whatever space you've got under cover. So the more space you have, almost the better. It's just making sure you're happy to manage that and you're happy with the overall pitch size and pack size. For more information, of course, you're welcome to check out that information via the link below. It'll take you straight through to a website. I've got more information on things like the, I said, pack size, pitch size, individual features. The video, we've got sort of pitching it, so we've got kind of a lot of things going on there. The latest prices and offers and stuff, and don't forget that footprint that comes as standard with the tent now. But all in all, I think the Lismore 700DLX is probably arguably one of my favourite tents. You have the ability to have it in air as well, but I think generally for the price you pay for what you get, I think it is very good value, especially with kind of the slightly higher spec than normal than you would expect for something like this. Bearing this in mind, this is more Vango's price-orientated big tent. I think it still ticks a lot of boxes, and you've got a lot of features that you would want to have, or even didn't know you wanted to have. So yeah, I think generally I'm quite impressed. I think, yeah, from the price point of things, I think, you know, it does a good job there. Thank you very much for watching. By all means, let us know what you think of the tent as well. Feel free to comment in the box below, and you're welcome to check out any of our other YouTube videos that we do, be it the air version of this or the whole range for different brands. So thank you for watching, and hopefully we shall see you again soon.